My name's Danny. I own a multilocational, um, beyond organic urban farm where I grow fresh produce and sell it to direct to consumer, so like restaurants, um, farmers market. Also, I run a 20-person CSA, which stands for Community Supported Agriculture. They pay ahead of time uh, and get a weekly bag of produce, everything that I harvest off the farm that week. I have two plots. One I run in conjunction with a local nonprofit called Square Mile Community Development, um, and the other is in a new housing development that they wanted to have a source for locally grown produce for the neighborhood. Um, so I guess a little bit more about me. Um, Grew up in a really small town and was was heavily influenced by punk rock, um, and especially the questioning um, type of your government. Almost an unhealthy distrust of government. That kind of led me into gardening. I started learning about how fragile our food system is, what actually goes into it, the fact that most metropolitan areas don't have more than 7 days of food on hand, um, is concerning. Um, while I was just kind of hard hobby gardening, I was working at a national retail chain in IT, software development. Um, my team was a web team. We dealt with the website, so information flowing to, maintenance of, and information uh, flowing down from the website. So like orders and stuff. Um, After 8 years, I was the company went into bankruptcy, um, and I was all self-taught, developmental wise. I didn't have the piece of paper to say, "Hey, I know what I'm doing. Hire me." And moving wasn't an option for me. So I felt like I was gonna be stuck where I was, and fighting with 25 other people that were gonna be looking for a job too, which I didn't really want to do. Um, so I started Nuke-City Veg in my backyard on 2,000 square feet. Like I said, the main reason why I started was food security, so I could have some kind of direct link to my food source. First year I was terrible at it. It was all kind of trial and error, trying to figure out what works best in my area. And I found some podcasts and read some books and kind of implemented their systems in my backyard. Right around the time the company was filing for bankruptcy, I was finishing up putting in a larger garden in my backyard, um, and I thought the plan was to sell my extra stuff on weekends for fun. But what ended up happening was this turned into my full-time job. Um, this gave me independence and freedom to do what I feel like, have a fulfilling job where I interact with my customers almost on a daily basis, and get away from the reliance on current food structures that I don't feel like are sustainable. The type of farming that we do at Nuke City is uh, it's based on spin farming, small plot intensive farming. The types of crops we grow allow us to grow year round. We specialize mostly in like leafy greens, roots for your radishes and carrots, um, herbs. We do some longer term stuff like squash, zucchini, tomatoes. Like I said before, we do direct to consumer, CSA, restaurant, and farmers market sales. So we don't sell to distributors. We don't sell to retailers. Um, any retail store that I would have my produce in, I would have direct control over pricing, and display. Another reason why the small plot intensive type farming has a benefit is it has a low environmental impact. It's kind of in everybody's consciousness right now, and we use minimal mechanization, so we're not adding too much to carbon into the atmosphere. We do most of the work by hand, so it's all labor intensive. We also work to maintain our soil through soil management practices that isn't seen on most conventional farms. Pesticides and herbicides tend to degrade your soils and makes it to where you have the Dust Bowl in the 1920s. Not a good sustainable way of farming, and can't be sustained in the long term, I feel. So in starting Nuke-City, we've really had to develop awareness for our local food scene. We're not known in my town for our local food production. If you're a farmer or a rancher, you're growing corn, cotton, maybe soy, sorghum, and beef, which, those are all commodity crops supported by subsidies, which have their place. But my type of farming doesn't have any of those, I guess, safety nets, which is partly why we do the crops we do. If we have crop failure, we can be up and running again in 4 or 5 weeks. It's a rough month that month, but we can get right back into selling. Whereas most conventional farmers, they're done for the year if they have a catastrophic crop failure. So kind of have built-in crop insurance through the things we grow. In developing that, we've kind of ran into a few issues. Our visibility is relatively small, and so we kind of have this cyclical problem here. I'm sure this would happen in most places where there's not enough local food, vegetable production, so there's not very much demand for it. If we had more production, the demand would go up because people would see it more, it would be more visible to them. But because there's not much demand, people don't want to get into gardening and farming for profit using vegetable production, because the demand's not there. So that means the supply's not there. It's like this weird cyclical problem that doesn't follow the normal rules of supply and demand. It's really annoying. And it's not just specific to me. Like I have a friend that does pasture raised pork, lamb, poultry, and beef. And he kind of has the same problem. I had this idea to start an IRL drain using this one, Lone Gardener, to kind of give people the opportunity to reconnect with their food system on an interactive virtual basis. I'm gonna have a whole rig set up that I'm gonna wear, and I'll take you through the day of what it takes to grow your produce. And some of it's gonna be really boring, like weeding, bed maintenance. But we're gonna be doing planting, harvesting. It's gonna be like this honest portrayal of what it's like to grow vegetables for profit. Another big thing that we've always wanted to focus on but can't because of the way the spin farming kind of works. It's super low overhead. It's really just me. And we want to do education and teach people how to do their own gardening, but it's just me. So working those types of educational days into the weekly schedule is difficult. But I'm doing all of the work anyway throughout the week. So if I can figure out a way to record it, they could see exactly what I do. I think this is better because you can interact with me um, through chat, ask questions on the fly about why I'm doing something, have me explain why I'm doing it, um, and see how that works. It'll reconnect people with their food system. Everybody buys, lots of people buy from the store, which is fine. But if you want food security, you need to be connected with your food system. And part of that is knowing where your food's from or where your food grows from. But like I said before, if you live in a town and it only has 7 days worth of food in it, you don't know where that food's coming from. This will allow people to get a look inside and see what it takes to get their food, even if they don't necessarily know exactly where the food's coming from. It'll bring the farming into your room, basically, your cell phone, your TV. Another problem with agriculture right now is that the average age of farmers is somewhere between like 60 and 65, which is bad because if you don't have farmers, you don't have food. And part of that is exposure. Like, the younger kids don't want to do this stuff because they also don't know about it. So that's what it's another goal of mine with this stream, is to expose the younger generation to farming. As we get this stuff figured out and dialed in, I'm going to take you guys to our local food scene producers. So my friend that does the meat, I have friends that do sourdough bread. I have a friend that runs a store called that has spices and salt and all kinds of really cool seasonings, and also bring you into the market, and then extend my own reach, so that people can get their hands on what it's really like trying to farm produce, with their eyes on, really. So the basic schedule that we're going to do for the content is going to be Mondays and Tuesdays is going to be field work, Wednesdays is going to be harvest day, Thursday is going to be wash day, Friday pack and deliveries if the restaurants want me to be filming in their restaurant. If they don't, then we won't be showing that, but for sure packing. And then Saturday will be market day, where you'll see, the highs and lows of market days. It'll be discreet. I'll probably let people know somehow that I'm recording. Keep all their personal information, safe and secure, off camera. But just to give you kind of a look. And this will be a recurring weekly schedule. And you'll be able to interact with me while we do work on the farm and see what it takes to grow your food. I appreciate you stopping by and checking out this video. And we'll get started as soon as I get the rig tested and set up, working just perfect. And we'll be announcing that